Welcome! Let's take a look at evaluating the limit as x approaches pi over 4 of secant of 2x times the quantity 1 minus tangent of x. Now, as x approaches pi over 4, we will have secant of 2x approach secant of 2 times pi over 4, or secant of pi over 2. That is an infinite value. That limit is infinity. Now, as x approaches pi over 4, in our second factor, we'll have 1 minus tangent x approach 1 minus tangent pi over 4. Well, tangent of pi over 4 is 1. So this would be 1 minus 1. So what we end up with is an indeterminate form. And our indeterminate form is of the type infinity times 0. So what we need to do is use some algebraic techniques to create an equivalent function with which we can evaluate the limit. In this case, since the secant function is the reciprocal of the cosine function, we could rewrite this limit as the limit as x approaches pi over 4, and our function would then be 1 minus tangent of x divided by cosine of 2x. Now, in this equivalent form, as x approaches pi over 4, our numerator will approach 1 minus tangent pi over 4, which would be 0. And then our denominator would approach cosine of 2 times pi over 4, or cosine of pi over 2, which is also 0. So in this case, we've now created an indeterminate form, but this indeterminate form is of the form 0 over 0. And in this form, we can go ahead and apply L'Hopital's rule. So this equals, and we will write LH over the equal sign to warn the reader that what follows is an application of L'Hopital's rule. And we get the limit as x approaches pi over 4. Now the derivative of our numerator, the first term is 0, so minus, and the derivative of the tangent function is the secant function squared. So we'll have negative secant squared of x in our numerator. And then the derivative of our denominator, we'll have to use the chain rule. The derivative of the cosine function would be negative sine of 2x. And then we need to multiply by the derivative of the argument. So the derivative of 2x is 2. Now, as we attempt to find the limit in this case, this would be the negative secant squared of pi over 4 over negative 2 times sine of, now 2 times pi over 4 is actually pi over 2. Now, secant of pi over 4 is equal to the square root of 2. So we end up with negative square root of 2 squared divided by negative 2 times, and then the sine of pi over 2 is 1. So we have negative 2 over negative 2, which simplifies to 1. So the limit of our original function is 1. I hope you find this helpful.